I do think that like I see that path there of the I don't necessarily want to call it the optimist approach, but like the way of all right, he's a good talent. He can slot in here if he does come in and you know recovers really well from this patella injury. You'll take a year of him sitting and not using that rookie deal if he does fix left tackle long term because they haven't really had a left tackle fix since Patrick Mahomes has been in Kansas City.
If he comes back from the injury and he's 100%, and those character concerns, you want to call them that, maturity concerns, whatever, however you want to term it, if they're overblown, the guy's a steal.
Right.
But that's the thing. Like, those are two big ifs.
It's that football show here on KC Sports Network. Tucker Franklin hanging out with Matt Verderame. As always, thank you to our sponsors, Ben Holiday, Bottled in Bond, Bourbon and Holiday Distillery. Look, we're going to be out at Holiday Distillery for the NFL draft. I'll be out there. Matt will be face first, I think, in his couch. Maybe we'll be lucky enough to have him call in virtually during day 3 when we are doing absolute shenanigans. I think Briscoe and I have been talking about what costumes we're going to wear during the live stream of day 3. And there's a really big lull of picks that the Chiefs have. They have like a round 4 pick.
Yeah.
And then they don't have anything until round 7. So we could get real loose on day 3 of the live stream movie out of Holiday Distillery. Also, after the draft is over on Sunday, we are holding a subscriber-only party over at Holiday Distillery as well. So if you subscribe to the KCSN Chiefs newsletter, our paid subscriber of the KCSN newsletter, you will get an invitation to that as well. So what you got to do, go subscribe to the KCSN Chiefs newsletter, and you will get an invitation to our Holiday Distillery party that we will be throwing after the draft. It is for paid subscribers only. So if you are a paid subscriber, you are invited. If you're not a paid subscriber yet, go pay and be invited. So, Matt, how are you doing? How was your weekend? How is everything going on?
Things are good. Things are good. I'm hanging in, living the dream. Very excited that as we're recording this, 8 days from the draft.
Yeah,
we're getting there. I feel like the draft is, listen, whether you love the draft, you're okay with the draft, like wherever you stand on it, the build up to the draft is insane. And it gets worse and worse as we get closer. I don't know what the fuck that was. That was you or me, but either way.
That is me. I gotta take the trash out.
Okay. Well, good job by you. Listen, I'm ready for the draft to be here. Like, I'm just ready at this point. Like, let's have the draft. Let's see how it all plays out.
Yeah.
Because now we're getting to a point where like guys who were projected as like the 50th overall pick now are like first rounders, and then people are falling, and Jackson Dart, like everybody's had an opinion other than like first overall. I think we're about a week away from somebody being like Jackson Dart to the Titans. So I'm ready to get the draft. I mean, look, the longer you have to wait, the more takes you have, because it's just by nature. And, and look, I'm not exempt to that. We put out a video. I was like, I'll stake my reputation the Chiefs aren't taking an offensive tackle. Now, here's 2 things about that video. One is I don't have much of a reputation. 2, I don't think they're going to take a tackle, but like that probably was overstating the case. Like I mean, I don't think they're going to do that. But at the same point, is there a way the board falls where they do? I mean,
sure.
The draft, they're picking 31st. Yeah, right. So like probably overstated that one a little bit. Sometimes you got to take a mea culpa. But at the same point, I think if the board presents like a defensive tackle that's an option that's better, I think they would do that if all things are equal. But then like Dane Brugler, who does a great job covering the draft for The Athletic, like he put out his mock draft today on Wednesday for those watching later on. And the way his board fell, they might take Josh Simmons in that regard. Like, because he has gone, Harmon's gone, Grant's gone, Hampton's gone, Ibuka's gone. Like, at that point, maybe they would. Maybe they'd be like, well, screw it. Like, this is the highest upside guy. We can get into all this stuff here in a moment. But, yeah, I think the more the draft process drags on, like, we're about 1 week away from me saying they're going to take a kicker. Because I just have things to talk about.
Well, I saw something. A general manager said if a kicker's good, we'll take him. I can't remember what name it was.
The Ravens said that.
DaCosta, right? Has he said that?
They might need a kicker.
They might.
Let's just
They
say
might need one. I do want to get into kind of some rationale too, and just kind of like I guess we'll call it like a thinking out loud, kind of about the Chiefs' first round pick, because we have had a lot of conversations about the first round pick and how the board will fall, and as you mentioned, pick 31 is such a crapshoot, right? You got to pick 30 other picks before you can get to the 31st pick, and 30 other players have to get selected before you can pick the 31st player. I do think that this is an interesting rationale that we can kind of have a conversation too in terms of roster building and processes. That I'm at the spot right now, Matt. You mentioned that like it's been so long that we were talking about the draft where I just am seeing the negatives in like literally every player. And so I'm not at the spot yet where I'm super stoked about anybody at number 31. And Matty Lang talked about this kind of too, is like when you get to this point, well, Matty said this, you usually get to this point around this time and you're just like, man, I don't know if I like any of these guys. I don't know if any of these guys give me warm and fuzzies at 31. And that's kind of where I'm at this year. That's kind of where I'm at. And so I do think it's an interesting conversation to have. Before we dive into that conversation, I want to talk about the raffle that we're doing this year for the draft. You know, every year around draft time, we do something to support Therese Paylor. We've done the scholarship in years past with the Power Mizzou scholarship. This year, we're doing something a little bit different. BJ explains it a little bit if you go to givebutter.com/KCSN draft. BJ explains it in the video there of what the all juice draft workshop is, something a little bit different where we're going to take a student, somebody with us as we are going to, go through this draft process and kind of show them the ropes as they network and get mentored there as well. But you can help support this all juice draft workshop with this benefit raffle here. You could win a Nick Bolton signed poster, a Creed Humphrey signed mini helmet, Trim McDuffie signed jersey, Will Shields, Brian Cook, Jamari Connor, Chris Jones. All those jerseys are signed as well. You can get one ticket for $10, 10 tickets for $50. As I mentioned, givebutter.com/KCSN draft, Venmo at KC Sports Network. Get those donations in, as we will be announcing those winners on April 27th during the draft recap show that we do on Sunday. That will be right before our party at Holiday Distillery as well. So get that stuff in there. We're doing something new with the All Juice Draft Workshop. Go check that out. I'm really excited for what that has the potential to be and really grow into too, for the recipient of the Therese Paylor Power Mizzou Scholarship as well. It's a really great cause that we love supporting. Therese was very impactful in all of our lives, and it's a good way that we can honor him moving forward.
Yes, it is. Look, Therese was a guy who, there are a lot of people in this industry that, quite frankly, don't want to have time for people, or just really don't try to carve out any, even if they could. And he was always the opposite of that. Therese always was somebody who, whenever I went on a trip for work with his combine at the Super Bowl, he always looked forward to seeing him. Always put a smile on your face. Really, I mean, like, any way to honor his legacy is a great thing. So, definitely be part of the raffle. Get involved, because first of all, you might win some cool prizes, and that's great. But really, whether you do or you don't, I mean, you're more importantly giving to a great cause. So. Yeah. Definitely anything in honor of Therese is something worth doing.
Absolutely. Well, let's get into this draft talk a little bit here, Matt, because I think that you mentioned the clip that was put out and kind of the conversation we've had the past couple weeks of just like, man, does tackle really make sense? Does this Josh Simmons guy really make sense for the Kansas City Chiefs? And I've had some conversations with Ken Swanson and Matty Lane kind of about the rationale and the thought process. And I just kind of want to think out loud when it comes to the process of taking a tackle like Simmons here, right? And the way that you said Dane Brugler's board, the way that it shapes out, like it looks like that could be the best case scenario for the Chiefs in that regard with the way that the board's shaping out.
Right.
And I think one of the things that Chiefs fans want to fix left tackle so bad, right?
Understandably.
And that's a very fair thing to do.
Understandably.
Yeah. Is Josh Simmons that guy? I don't know. For me, I'm worried about the injury. If the Chiefs trade up, there's been discussions about the Chiefs trading up in the first round. I know that I think Alec Lewis reported that the Vikings were even talking about the Chiefs going up to 24. Now, if they trade up to 24 and spend capital for Josh Simmons, boy, it better work out. I think that if they're going to sink more capital into it already, and that we've had the conversation, if you're going to use a first round pick on a tackle that's not going to play year one, you're already sinking a decent amount of capital into that position for a swing tackle, let's say.
You're losing 20% of his contract.
Yeah.
Okay. At a minimum. It's assuming you pick up a 5th-year option. They're losing 20% of that contract. Like, the 20% of his value is out the door because he's coming off the patella and he's not playing this year, barring a very, very swift recovery. And on top of that, somebody getting hurt in front of him, because Jalen Moore and Juwan Taylor are the tackles this year. I don't think there's any arguing that, again, barring an injury. Listen, like I said, I mean, I was pretty aggressive in my stance, which I guess is par for my course.
Yeah, it's pretty on brand.
And that's fine. Like, it's fine, right? Like, and I know if they take a tackle, somebody's going to be like, "Oh, idiot." And I'm going to be, yeah, get in line, pal. You're the 800th person to call me that in the last month. My wife was the first 700. The point is, though, in the case of Simmons specifically,
yes,
my issues are, A, what you just said in terms of you're taking a player who you have no idea what that guy's going to look like post-patella. Like, that is a huge injury. That is not a torn pec. That is not even in this day and age an ACL, where a lot of guys have an ACL, they come back. A patella is like an Achilles, man. Those injuries, some guys just never come back from those. Not the same anyway. Those are massive injuries. That's number one. And we're talking about a guy who's 300 plus pounds, on a torn patella. Like, it's not like he's a $150. He's not Xavier Worthy, right? Like, he's twice the size of Xavier Worthy, literally. So there's that concern. The other concern with Simmons is the stuff that, look, at this point is out there, right? It is how did he interview, and the maturity concerns, and does the guy love football? And sometimes those things are overblown, and sometimes those things are really on point. I would say the concerning thing with Simmons is there are a lot of people who have said the same thing. And I can tell everybody on here firsthand, like when I was at the owners' meetings, I was talking to coaches, talking to GMs, and I was talking to one head coach, and we were not talking about Simmons. We were talking about offensive tackles in general. And he brought up on his own, like, yeah, we would not take Simmons because of all the red flags character-wise.
Interesting.
And to be fair, he didn't expound on that. He didn't have time. He was going to another meeting, and I had to go as well. But, I would venture the way he said it. It was more like, would we take that kind of a risk? Like, that's the way it kind of the context of it, to add a little bit. And to be clear, and I always try to be clear with this because I think it's important. It's not a legal thing. Like, there's no legal issues with this kid, right? That's an important distinction. But I think it's more a question of, like, is this guy somebody who's committed to the game in the way you need to be to play in the NFL? Mm-hmm. I think that is kind of the maturity question. And I got to tell you, you're sinking your first round pick into a guy who's got those questions, who's not going to play this year in all likelihood. I mean, that guy better turn out to be one hell of a player. If you're going to take that dude at 31 over, and of course we don't know who's going to be on the board, but let's say Luther Burden's on the board, maybe one of those D tackles you think could really be a day one plug and play starter. If you're going to take Josh Simmons over those guys, that guy he better be box office when he plays.
Yeah.
Like, because if he comes in and he's just kind of like a decent left tackle, that's not a good pick. So. Now, could they take another left tackle? Could they take Connerly Jr. or something out of Oregon? I mean, maybe. But I just think, man, you're taking, Brugler's mock. Simmons is the 5th tackle off the board.
Right.
You're taking in a class that everybody agrees is not good at tackle. Everybody feels that way. You're taking the 5th guy with a patella issue, with questions about character, in the first round.
Yeah.
It just feels like it feels like an unnecessary risk, quite honestly. The best way.
Absolutely. And I'm right there with you too. But I want to talk about the potential upside. Like, we talk about risk, and there's two sides of risk though, right? they could risk it and it pays off.
No question.
They could take him. I do think that like Josh Simmons, if healthy, is probably a top 15 pick in this draft. Like he's a good tackle. I want that out there as well. Like we're not just, I don't want to just dog shit on Josh Simmons, right? Like I think he's a good tackle. I think for you and I, Matt, the worry is the injury. For me specifically, like the biggest worry for me is the injury that comes with him. And I don't know if I want to spend a first round pick or even trade up and draft a guy to sink that much capital to a guy that's coming back from injury that you don't know about. He does have a lot of talent. I do think that is very good. Like that is without a question, he's a very talented football player. I think the thought process behind it is, even though you did pay $30 million to a guy, right, to come in and play left tackle, if Josh Simmons is the guy you think he is pre-injury, you solve left tackle. I think that's kind of the thought process is, okay, you solve left tackle. Jawan Taylor's not going to be on this team next year. You move Jalen Moore to right tackle, you have your tackles figured out, right? That's the thought process behind of why this will work out. If you are kind of banking on him returning back to form to where he was pre-injury, which he had a good, I think it was 5 games for Ohio State before he did get injured, and he looked good. He started all the year before that at Ohio State as well. Transferred him from San Diego State. He's got some good tape. Like he's a very good tackle. I do think that, like, I see that path there of the, I don't necessarily want to call it the optimist approach, but like the way of, all right, he's a good talent. He can slot in here. If he does come in and, recovers really well from this patella injury, you'll take a year of him sitting and not using that rookie deal if he does fix left tackle long term, because they haven't really had a left tackle fix since Patrick Mahomes has been in Kansas City.
If he comes back from the injury and he's 100%, and those character concerns, you want to call them that, maturity concerns, whatever, however you want to term it, if they're overblown, the guy's a steal.
Right.
But that's the thing. Like, those are 2 big ifs.
It's huge ifs. Huge ifs.
Like, if one of those things comes up, snake eyes, you're screwed. Like, that's the problem. And it's if we were sitting here talking about taking him in the middle of the second round, I'd be him and take him. Like,
yeah.
The value's there. I'll even go a step further. If the Chiefs trade back to like 38, 39, and he's there, all right.
Yeah.
At 31, I'm not saying the guy won't be a good player. He might be.
Yeah.
But you're taking a major gamble, and he's not helping you win a Super Bowl next year in all likelihood. I mean, again, unless there's an injury and he comes, I mean, he's just probably not doing it. By the way, to your point, he did start 6 games last year before he got hurt.
Okay.
It was 6. And would you like to take one guess at who NFL.com, Lance Zierlein specifically compared him to, who his draft comparison is?
Oh, gosh. I'm so bad.
He is a familiar face.
Is it Orlando Brown Jr.?
He's DJ Humphries.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, I can see that.
Which, listen, if you get prime DJ Humphries, like, at 31,
yeah,
that's fine. But, look, I mean, it's good. The question is just, again, the injuries and the maturity and all that. I am with you 1,000%. And I think you're right to point out, look, I don't want to sit here and just denigrate him either. Like, he is very talented. I think most people would certainly agree he's a top 15 pick, 20 pick at worst all day if he's healthy. The question is just, he's not healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I mean, so I always love when people will shoot me a message or like tweet at me and be like, he didn't have his torn patella. It's like, and I don't mean just Simmons, like just in general, people will do that with, even when it's like during the season and the Chiefs are struggling in some position, well, if so-and-so didn't blow his ACL out, he would have been signed already. It's like, yeah, I know.
Well, yeah.
That's the problem. If Simmons wasn't hurt, he wouldn't even be in the conversation for the Chiefs. And that's the push-pull of this, is like, look, I am in the camp, obviously. I would rather they draft a starting defensive tackle. I think that's more impactful for this team this year. I think you could even argue, going forward, they need to do that. I mean, Chris Jones is in his 30s. And this is a very good D-tackle class. That being said, if Dane Brugler's mock, for an example, if it were to fall that way, that might be the one scenario I wouldn't really get on them for doing it, because it's like, look, if all those D-tackles are gone, Connerly's off the board in that case. Yeah. You've got, I mean, they could take Luther Burden, who he has going 34 for the record. 34, 35.
35, yeah.
Listen, I mean, if you want to make that case, okay. I just think, man, if you're Veach, it's a big bet. It's a
Better be right.
bet.
Better be right.
Yeah.
That's the spot for me. Is that it's nothing against Simmons. I don't think. As I've started to think about this more and more, I just think it's a lot of risk that I don't necessarily know you have to take. Right? Like I don't think the Chiefs have to take on that much risk. Could he be a really good, impactful player? Absolutely. I just am worried about the injury and where he comes back from, and that's kind of where I'm at when it comes to it. And the board, look, a lot of it's going to dictate how the board falls.
No,
how the board falls is going to dictate probably 95% of this. If it's me, I probably would want them, depending on how the board looks. If the board looks like how Brugler's board shaped out, trade back and like maybe take, Quinshon Judkins, like a dynamic offensive player, or take, I don't know, somebody that
burden for loan. No, I mean,
Luther Burden is Luther Burden is criminally underrated. I know that like I'm a Mizzou fan saying that, but like criminally underrated.
I don't give a crap about Mizzou, and I think that kid is big time. So,
I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, people are just like, "Yeah, that guy sucks," and like if you watch him, you're just like, "He doesn't suck."
I know he was. No, I also, by the way, one of my things, and like Dane is a good guy. He does an amazing job. I love that he has Genty going 5th to Jacksonville. That'd be the most Jacksonville pick of all time.
It would be very Jacksonville.
Like, here's Jacksonville, needs every possible thing, and they're like, running back. Like, that would be the most. That'd be great. Yeah, I mean, look, and by the way, if you're curious, I'll give a little push here to Dane's piece, which is on the Athletic. You can check that out.
Yep.
He has Shedeur Sanders going 21 to the Steelers.
Interesting.
He's got him going there.
Where's Dart?
That's a good question. I don't think he's in the first round. Let me be sure. I don't want to speak out of turn. He's not in the first round. He has Dart. First pick of the second round, 33. Cleveland. So if you're Jackson Dart and you get drafted by Cleveland, do you just retire?
Well, did they take Travis Hunter and then that was number 2, or?
Yeah.
Well, I think you can stick it out for Travis Hunter. I mean, did you see Travis Hunter's quote? Well, I want to make sure I got this right. Travis Hunter, quote, "I'd rather quit football than only play one position."
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Okay.
That's fair enough. Right there. That's
fair enough. Man doesn't want any water breaks.
No.
You know what? It's funny. So Albert Breer, my colleague over at SI, of course, he wrote a piece, and everything with Albert is extremely well sourced. And so, like, Albert doesn't go on and stake his reputation on a team not taking a position, okay? Because Albert's a professional. And I'm sure if he saw a video, he'd be, "Oh my God, stop talking." Which that actually might be the title of my book. But in any event, so Albert writes this really well-sourced piece, and basically was like, look, he's talked to people that think Sanders might go in the second round. And I will tell you, not that Albert needs any kind of, backup, quote unquote. When I was down in Florida for the owners' meetings, there were real conversations like that I had with people who would, or in personnel meetings, stuff like, yeah, I think that guy's a second round pick. And the one thing that a lot of people say, like, Cleveland's not going to take him at 2.
Mm.
And then there was this open question, like, God only knows with the Giants, like, what are they going to do? But there was a lot of talk. Like, he gets past the Giants at 3. The next spot is the Saints. And that was before Derek Carr's shoulder fell off. So, like, that, like, which, by the way, like, what is going on with that? Like, multiple insiders are just like, is it real? Like, I don't know. Whatever.
Did you see the Saints team account? Like, after, like, Ian Rapport tweeted, like, number 9 is going to be a really interesting pick. And the Saints team account's like, whoa, eyeball emoji. It's like, our quarterback's dying right now. And they were like, oh, it could be an interesting pick.
Seems like we're not giving an update on any kind of his surgery timeline. Should one play out? You got to love that. Yeah, I did see that. There are some people who think Jackson Dart is, like, in play there at 9.
Yeah, I've heard that as well.
I think that's wild. Like, I have a hard time with that one, but I wonder, like, if that's more of like if the Saints could get him in the second round, would they do it? But the point is, if Sanders gets past the Saints, all bets are off, man. Because if you look at the draft order, okay, after the Saints, it's Chicago not taking a quarterback, the Niners not taking a quarterback, Cowboys not taking a quarterback, Miami, like, that is the one sneaky. That was another thing people talked about down in Florida. Like, would the Dolphins do it? That has been bandied about, but I don't think they would do it. Then you get to the Colts, who probably should take one, but I don't think they're going to. Atlanta, can't rule out Atlanta ever.
That's a great point.
Another quarterback? But yeah, they're not taking one. Arizona's not. Cincinnati's not. Seattle, I don't think would, although I guess you could say maybe. Tampa, Denver, and then he gets Pittsburgh. I mean, he gets past 9, man. Like, that is going to be an Aaron Rodgers-esque slide down the board.
Wow. Yeah.
That's, I mean, unless somebody trades up, like, that's going to be the story of the night. If he gets past 9, where does he go?
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting, especially if, like, Abdul Carter's still on the board for the Giants. Like, if the Giants are staring at Abdul Carter and
that'd be
Daniel Sanders.
Man. If you Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence, and Brian Burns, oh my God, man. They may not be able to do anything else, but damn it, they're getting your quarterback.
Their games are going to be 3-3. Like, they're going to have so many ties because they they decrease the time of overtime. So now more ties are going to happen. So they're just going to have 6-3 wins.
You got to factor in James throwing like 2 pick sixes. Yeah.
That's a good point.
Brian Dable just sending James out with 5 minutes on the clock in a tie game, being like, James, listen, whatever you do, don't throw a pick. He's like, no problem. I eat W's. And it just wells went into double coverage. Good job by you.
The dude throws touchdowns. And they might not be to the team that you want him to be thrown to, but he does throw touchdowns. All right, Matt, there's some interesting things going on with Cam Ward. I told you, I alerted you this before the podcast, that Cam Ward was streaming Fortnite. And, everything good happens when players stream and get to talk about things on their live streams when they don't have PR departments by. Nothing bad happens. I don't think anything has ever bad happened. But anyway, Cam Ward has some very funny clips that if they could come back to bite him. Let's talk about that after this break. Chiefs.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story, like Brain Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Brain Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
Are you ready to win some real cash during the basketball playoffs? Well, check out Pick 6 from DraftKings. When it comes to basketball payouts, DraftKings Pick 6 posterizes the competition. And yeah, that includes prize picks. Hit all your picks and score higher minimum payouts on Pick 6. Plus, even more cash if you outscore the competition. Pick 6 is available in most states, including Missouri, California, Texas, Georgia, and more. New players get 50 in Pick 6 credits instantly on just a $5 entry. Here's what you got to do. Download DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code KCSN. That's code KCSN for new customers to play $5 and get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos. So Cam Ward, presumed number 1 overall pick. I think everyone's probably pretty clear. Yeah, he's going to the Titans. One of my biggest things that I hate is like on draft day when it's just like, all right, the Tennessee Titans are on the clock and they take all the time to pick. It's just like, what are we doing, man?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm old enough to remember when the Vikings just didn't pick for 2 straight picks when they were on the clock. And they just like forgot to turn in a card. Okay. By the way, just to wrap up on Jameis Winston, one of the great outlines of all time that will be studied forever. Jameis Winston in 2019 threw for 5,100 yards and 33 touchdowns,
Incredibly
and
good.
30 interceptions, and then was never a starting quarterback again after that.
Incredible.
Like, that's unbelievable. He went to New Orleans after that for 4 years, and of course last year was on Cleveland.
Yeah.
Like, there should be a 30 for 30 on that. Just what and by the way, 20% of his interceptions that year are pick sixes.
Incredible.
Just a cornucopia of nonsense. Hey,
He's incredible. Okay, let's talk about Cam Ward.
let's talk about another guy from one number 1 overall pick to another.
Good point. Cam Ward was streaming Fortnite when he was asked who his top 4 NFL wide receivers are. As a podcast that specializes in ranking things, we do top 5. Sorry, Cam, can't join the club because you left out number 5. His top 4 wide receivers. Do you want me to give them to you in reverse order?
Just current guys?
Yeah, they're all current guys. Yeah, I think current top 4 wide receivers.
Okay.
You know what? I'm not going to give them to you in reverse order because number 4 is wild. Number 1, Calvin Ridley.
Like number 1, like on the Titans?
Number 1 overall. 1-1, Calvin Ridley for Cam Ward. Number 2, Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase, number 2 for him.
Fine.
Number 3, Justin Jefferson.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. I probably think Justin Jefferson's number 1, but to each their own. Number 4, Treylon Burks.
Oh, wow. Oh my, turning the card now. Yeah, I'll tell you what though. That's a smart guy right there. Yeah, he could easily just been like, I don't know, Jefferson, Chase, Tyreek, and whoever the hell else, AJ Brown.
Yeah.
And instead was like, nah, I'm going to name off the depth chart of the team I'm going to.
I believe, let me find this one. I believe he said, God, I got to find this. I think he said like, I liked AJ Brown, but he's no Calvin Ridley is what I think is.
Wow. Taking a shot at a former Titans great.
AJ Brown's a dog, but he's not Calvin Ridley. That's what he said.
Oh, man. It's as bad as it gets. God. I appreciate it. I do. Yeah, he was just like, you know what? I'm going to step up here. I'm going to just say the guys on my team, although Treylon Burks, like, is he even on the team by September? We're going to find out.
Probably not. I don't.
Oh, my God. That's awesome. That's awesome. Good for Cam Ward playing the game.
Yeah. He was just like, oh, yeah, I love Calvin Ridley. And, that Calvin Ridley probably would have been a good answer like 12 years ago.
Like before the gambling?
Right. But yeah, before that, like I thought he was going to be so good in Jacksonville. That I also thought that like Trevor Lawrence was also going to be so good in Jacksonville. Maybe there's a Jacksonville problem. Maybe the city of Jacksonville has a problem.
I mean, the city of Jacksonville has many problems. I love how we haven't talked about this. Maybe a lot of people probably aren't aware of this. So the Jags are getting a new stadium.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they are.
And so next year, their current stadium, they're going down to half capacity, which shouldn't really be a problem.
Normal capacity, yeah.
It should be a problem, right? This is a team that tarped off the upper deck years ago. And then the year after, they're just not going to be able to play at their home stadium because of issues in terms of construction with the new stadium right next to it.
Uh-huh.
So while it's not set in stone, there's a very good chance they end up playing at Camping World Stadium in Orlando, which is like a couple-hour drive from Jacksonville.
Right.
And then they're in their new stadium. So what is already maybe the worst home field advantage in football is now going to get half capacity, and then also take a 2-hour bus ride to Orlando if you want to watch the Jags, or fly to England. And then hey, we're back in 2028. Sorry, good time.
And they're in their stadium that looks like it's a spaceship. That looks like it is, because they're doming it, right? I think the AFC South will be all domes, if I remember correctly, with this one.
Is it Titans new stadium? Is that a dome?
Yeah, they're doming it up.
Okay.
The Titans new stadium looks dumb because it's like a square and then like a bubble in the middle of it. I don't know if you've seen the renderings of it. Like, it just doesn't look great. I was down there for the Music City Bowl that Missouri played in. And so they've already kind of started construction on it because it's right next to like the current Nissan Stadium. They'll have the structures up, but then they have pictures of it all over the place. I was like, oh, people wanted this to happen. Like, people wanted it to look like this, and it doesn't look very good.
Okay. Yeah, I was just looking at some of the renders. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Titans. The Titans
can just do whatever they want, you know? Like, the Titans are just like...
Yeah, like, I'm not really all that involved. Like, the Titans just, I don't know, they haven't mattered in a few years here. Although, you know, they might now with Cam Ward, and hopefully Mike Borgonzi, for his, you know, sake, gets a role.
True.
But, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just, man, like, there are teams that kind of, like, they just fall into irrelevance in a way that you're like, oh, yeah, right. Like, they're still playing the sport. The Titans with Will Levis definitely did that for me.
Yeah.
You know, and like the Cardinals were like that forever. You know,
Yeah.
we'd be like, oh, the Cardinals. Like, who the hell's the quarterback this year for them? They go, oh, Jeff Blake. Like, oh my God. Like, really? Like, he's still playing? Like, the Browns are so bad every year that, like, I don't even consider them irrelevant. Like, you talk about them all the time. Like, oh my God.
All right. Yeah.
But there are certain teams, like when I was a kid, the Los Angeles Clippers were just, like when the Knicks would play them, they'd always play them in Anaheim, and you'd be like, oh my God, like who's watching this? Yeah. You know, like, who the hell's, like, why? Like, you know, it just, you know, the Bengals were always terrible when I was a kid. Like, you forgot they even existed, another team led by Jeff Blake. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's like in baseball now with, like, the Pirates. Like, if Paul Skeens isn't on that team, we would ever talk about the Pirates.
That's true. I heard a really interesting quote about Paul Skeens. They're like, oh, does he have a good personality? And they're like, no. I mean, he's just 6'5" and throws 103 miles an hour and dates Livy Dune. I mean, that's what we like about Paul Skeens. And you know what?
Personality.
That's okay. Like, that's totally fine for baseball. Like, Paul Skeens has become marketable because of who he's dating. And, like, baseball could not be happier for that. Because, look, I know that we're going to get into that baseball show now. I know that, like, a lot of times that everyone's like, hey, MLB needs to market their stars more. And, like, yeah, I do agree that they do. But have you heard some of their stars talk? Like, maybe they shouldn't market those guys. There's a clip of, and I love Bobby Witt Jr., but this was a couple years ago. Bobby Witt Jr. was, for MLB The Show, they asked him, guess what your speed rating is. This is a video. Like, they're taking a video on their phone, showing it, like, guess what your speed rating is. He's like, 93. And they're like, 99. And he's like, nice. And that's all he says. Like, that's it. And, like, I understand that, like, baseball does need to be better at marketing the stars, but maybe the stars need to be better at being marketed. Because they just don't have a lot of personality.
Yeah, baseball, there are not a lot of, like you're not allowed to show a personality in baseball, or you get drilled as a pitch.
That's true.
Now, like, I feel like I've said this about hockey players forever. Like, market these guys more, and that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, like, football is weird in the sense guys' faces are covered by helmets, and they're infinitely more marketable than any of the other three major sports in the country. Because basketball, half the guys don't even play. The NHL, like, unless you're a hardcore hockey fan, I mean, I love hockey to death, but, like, a lot of people are like, what? Who's involved? Like, they know they are. And then baseball, if you hit a home run and show any excitement whatsoever, you're getting hit in the head with the next pitch.
Yeah.
Like that's the one thing, man, I loved back in the day. I loved Pedro Martinez, even though I grew up an A's fan. Pedro Martinez just like, you know what? I'm coming inside. I don't care. And they would drill somebody, and then they'd go out to fight him, and he'd fight him. And I was like, you know what? I like watching Pedro. Never know what's going to happen. Right. I wasn't a Roger Clemens guy, but you never know what the hell was going to happen with Roger Clemens.
That's true.
Might throw a bat at somebody during the World Series. There are certain, I don't know, now, I was saying this the other day with the NBA, but I think this also holds true of baseball. What is the biggest rivalry in either one of those two sports?
Ooh.
Like in baseball, you'd probably say Yankees, Red Sox.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's not like it was 20 years ago when you had the Ramirez and Ortiz Red Sox and the Jeter.
Right. The Red Sox aren't as good anymore as they were
it doesn't really matter. I mean, basketball is there a single rivalry in basketball?
Doesn't feel like it.
Who the hell is it?
Yeah.
And by the way, if anybody out there's like, well, how about the Knicks and the Celtics? I'm a Knicks fan. It's not a rivalry. The Celtics kick the crap out of the Knicks every time they play them. Okay, there's no the Lakers. Who the hell is their rival? Nico Harrison. He's their best friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's no rivalry. There's no, back in the day where it was like, you had, the Bulls and the Knicks. You had
right
for a while they're like the Lakers and the Kings.
Yeah.
You had the Pistons and the Cavs when LeBron was trying to get through that, or I mean, what rivalry is it? That is to me a big problem in sports in general, and football, to its credit, does not have that problem.
True, that's very true.
And a lot of that, whatever, you play 17 games now, but the Chiefs and the Bills aren't even in the same division. It's a better rivalry than any other rivalry there is in American professional sports right now.
Right. Yeah. I agree.
If one side never wins in the playoffs.
Even if the one side only wins in the regular season and the other side always ends their season. But it's okay.
Let me throw a question to you back on the draft, back on football here.
Okay, let's do it.
So NFL, is it network or .com? NFL Media put out a tweet.
All right.
Reporter assignments for the draft.
Okay.
We have Mike Garafolo, Omar Ruiz, and Steve Weish in studio.
Okay. Yep.
We have Tom Pelissero and Ian Rappaport in Green Bay.
Oh, all right.
Reasons I don't quite understand, because you're not getting inside information in Green Bay because none of the teams are there. But They're there. They're on the boots on the ground. Okay, fine. There are 5 people who are on assignment in buildings. I want you to rank from best assignment to worst assignment for these individuals.
Okay.
Judy Batista is with the Giants.
Oh, Jesus.
Stacey Dales is with the Bears. Jane Slater is with the Saints. Sarah Walsh is with the Titans. My guy Cam Wolf with the Browns.
Ooh.
If you were at NFL Network and they said, Tucker, you've got to pick one of these assignments, which one are you going to, and which one are you like, I will resign if you send me there?
I would probably pick the Saints just because of you don't know what the hell's going on with their quarterback could not have an arm. He could have an amputated arm, and then you're going to need to draft a quarterback.
Harvard comes in like a wheelchair. Paul Pierce in it in the NBA final.
He just shit his pants as all. But I probably is this man. It probably is the Saints. I could be convinced the Titans just because it's the number 1 pick. It's just like, once the number 1 pick's done, you're like, all right, sick. But I think I would probably quit if they sent me to the Giants. Sorry, Judy. I don't think I can do that one.
So, for me, the absolute best job is Sarah Walsh's job, going to the Titans.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Cam Ward? Great. Good night. Yeah. Great job.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I mean, look, from the standpoint of where I have to go, if you're sending me to Cleveland, I'm furious. Okay.
Yeah, in terms of location, Cleveland is a bad spot to go to.
Yeah, you're Sarah Walsh. You get to go to like Nashville and hang out. And
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
It's actually funny. I'm actually the opposite side of you with this with New Orleans. Like, man, I don't want to have to sit there and deal with just what's going down, and then if they take like Jackson Dart at 9, I've got to interview like at this consulate like front office. It's just like, yeah, Mickey said this is what we're doing, so here we are. But I don't know. I just enrolled my kid in school, and I don't know that this is going to last. So, like, I mean,
that's fair.
The Giants one is probably the other one, where I feel like there's just such an anger in that building right now.
Yeah.
They haven't been good for years. It seems like there might be some disagreement on who to take. Like, that might be one of those, like, you interview somebody and you get somebody who didn't get the guy that they wanted.
Right.
And like, who the hell's asking that question? And like, it's just, you end up being like a cliff that surfs just for the next 25 years on draft night. Titans is number one with the bullet for me, man. Like, that job. I go to Nashville. I hang out.
That's true, yeah.
I was like, so, Cam Ward, good player. Yep, looks great. Awesome. Good night from Nashville.
It's true. First pick and you're done, though, too. Right?
Yeah.
That's the other thing. It's the first pick and you're like, all right, let's back it in, boys. Let's go home.
You can do the reporting now.
Yeah.
Like that's the move, in my opinion. If I had first pick, Tennessee's the pick, because I'm just lazy like that. I don't want to have to sit there and actually, really put in a ton of time.
And look, that's fair. I also really did enjoy my time in New Orleans, and so like that's part of the reason I kind of lean towards the Saints. Nashville's a great city too. I do love me some Nashville, but yeah, the Browns, that is a tough one. Going to Cleveland, I've only ever been through Cleveland, but I would never want to go to Cleveland on purpose.
Well, I gotta tell you, good for you. I've been to Cleveland.
Right.
Listen, like anything, there are some nice things about Cleveland. I'm not going to say any of them right now. However, you know what? So when I drive back to my parents' house, every summer I go, and my oldest daughter, Maisie, she's the sacrificial lamb. She drives with me. We get out there.
God bless.
And the exact halfway mark is Cleveland. Drive right through the heart of it. And we now have a little tradition. So when I go on the road, my wife is stuck home with the kids, hanging on by her fingernails. And I always get her a box of chocolates wherever I go. Like, that's kind of my thing. So I know about Laura Little's Candy Kitchen. Shout out on 75th. Great chocolate. My wife's favorite, actually. But there's a place in Cleveland called Mally's Chocolates.
Huh.
And it's so good that when I go with Maisie, I stop there. And that's our halfway point. We get lunch in like, the suburbs of Cleveland. And we go to Mally's Chocolates. And I just let her get whatever she wants.
Yeah.
Like, go in, get whatever you want. So she loads up to the hilt. Then, of course, I load up. Let's not kid ourselves here.
Right, yeah.
And then it's just a pain train for the last 6.5 hours. You don't know pain until you've been driving for 10 hours and you're in Corning, New York. Okay? And they're like, oh, our claim to fame is Corningware. You're like, I can't drive fast enough. Like, I got pulled over once going 86 and a 70 out there. And it got
That's semantics, truthfully.
Yeah, he's like, why I pulled you over? And I was like, listen, I totally get it. I know why you pulled me over. I deserve the ticket. I've been driving for 10 hours, and I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to keep going this rate of speed. I got to get the hell out of here. And he looked at me, and he kind of half chuckled. He's like, I get it. It's just like, all right. I still got the ticket.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay. And I drove off and still went, good AC. And I was like, you know what? I wonder if I was going 83 if he'd have pulled me over.
Yeah.
I think it was that 15 barrier that got me.
I got a buddy who's a cop who says he doesn't pull anybody up if they're under 15.
I also have a buddy who has said similar things. And I was
like, I'm not going to waste my time on anything that's under 15.
So that now, if it's 70, I'm going 82, 83.
Oh, yeah.
I wave at the trooper. I'm like, you have a nice day. Dude, we're doing. I'm like, good luck to you. You have a nice day, But yeah, in any event, yeah, man, that trip is the pits. You go to Jamestown, New York, a terrible place. There was like, this is where Lucille Ball's from. You're like, that's great.
No wonder she left.
Yeah, right. Like she didn't live here her whole life. I tell you that much. And then you drive to Corning. There's a place called Horseheads. Hilarious name. That's right, Horseheads, New York. That's right. That's right. I actually worked at a paper at my first journalism job that covered Horseheads. Painted post, just real. I mean, you're really just you're scraping the bottom of the barrel, man.
Well, what was their high school mascot?
That's a great question. Damn, I don't remember.
I am obsessed with like high school mascots for some reason. I love like going through towns and being like, oh, this is Corning. What is their high school mascot? And trying to figure out their high school mascot of like what they are, what they live and breathe. Like they live and breathe like the Bulldogs.
So Horseheads, they're the Blue Raiders.
That's not shit.
But their logo is the Denver Broncos logo.
All right. Hang on a second. That's not sick. Horse heads? Multiple?
Heads. Yeah, multiple. Yeah.
All one word?
Yes.
That's dumb.
The whole thing's dumb. It's horse heads.
Yeah. Horse heads, Blue Raiders. Yeah. That's wow.
Also, are you seeing the picture of this thing, the mascot?
Yeah. I am seeing it.
Fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
It's a jacked up horse. We're gonna
like
shape.
Yeah, it is kind of
crop top. Like, what's going on?
I do love this one that's the Broncos logo, but says Raiders in the main. That's hilarious. Like, that is hilarious.
It's like a Chiefs fan's worst nightmare. Yeah. Or also known as 0-4. Yeah. I just, wow. Horsehead. Had no idea. I covered it in school. I didn't remember that.
Their mascot is a horse. For the Blue Raiders, though, their mascot is a horse. I mean, I guess that makes sense since they're horse heads. But
that's great.
But Horseheads, Blue Raiders, dude. We're not gonna get into this now on this show, but like I've done a deep dive into Montana in NAIA schools, and they've got some wild mascots there.
Really?
Oh, dude! Like there's a whole conference of Montana Tech is how it started. I saw Montana Tech in, I'm sure it's pronounced boot, but it is Montana. Yeah, I want to say but. Montana Tech is in this conference, and they're the Ore Diggers, by the way.
The what?
Incredible name. Yeah, the Ore Diggers, the Frontier Conference.
I think it's something else.
No, I didn't.
Hey, you never know Montana, man. It could get wild. I don't know.
That is true. The Frontier Conference has just insane names. I just want to run through these, and then we'll actually close this podcast. Hey, people can't get mad though because this is football.
And it's at the end of the show. You don't want to.
It's that football show. I also want to bring up that Colorado's retiring Shedeur and Travis Hunter's number.
This is ridiculous.
Which is actually funny because they didn't win a conference championship and they were, I think, might have been right around 500 in their time there, which is hilarious.
They were not good when those guys were there.
Correct. I know, like, I saw, like, Barstool, Colorado was like, oh, yeah, well, they're this much in passing.
Barstool, Colorado.
Right. It's like, oh, yeah, Shedeur's, like, second all time in passing yards. And
I mean, I got to tell you, not a huge lift. I mean, it's not like Colorado's been churning out, Hall of Fame quarterbacks one after the next.
That's what I'm saying. But yeah, I think that's ridiculous. Let's look at Arizona Christian University Firestorm. They're also in this conference.
Wow. Okay.
Bellevue Bruins. I think that's a solid name. The Bismarck State Mystics.
All right. It's not nothing.
Dickinson State Blue Hawks. The Mayville State University Comets have a wild logo. I implore everyone to look that up. But going back to Bismarck State College, they are the Mystics. I think they have a name. I love a good college that has a name for the mid sports and like for the women's sports as well. Like they have a different name. Arkansas. I want to say Arkansas Tech is the Boll Weevils and the Cotton Blossoms, a D2 school in Arkansas. Look, you can tell this is I spend a lot of time looking up random ass nicknames. But look, what's really interesting, Bismarck State College famous alumni will end on this. Brock Lesnar. went to Bismarck State, and Masai Uri, the general manager for the Toronto Raptors, also went to Bismarck State. So some famous alumni for the Mystics.
Wow. By the way, shout out to the Presbyterian Blue Hose. Awesome.
Oh yes, shout out to the Blue Hose.
Yeah, great name. Here come the Blue Hose. Just a great name, right? I just this picture like stockings, like yeah. It's
Rocky Mountain College battling Bears. I forgot about that one. I gotta give a Rocky Mountain College a shout out there. Battling Bears.
Man, some schools just do it better,
They do. And look, NAIA schools in Montana have my heart. In Montana State, lights and skylights. The skylights are the women, the lights are the men. Montana State University Northern Lights and Skylights. Barbs.
I like the Tulane Green Wave.
That's a good one, man. The Golden Hurricane in Tulsa too. That's a solid one.
Great one.
Truthfully, I like St. John. The Red Storm is kind of sick. It's just kind of nondescript. It's a red storm.
I got for the first time in 25 years, every time they played, just text my dad in all caps, the storm's coming. And then it stopped coming when they scored like 35 points in the NCAA tournament game. But yes, I do like that name I'm a fan of the school. So yeah.
Yeah.
Chanticleers, great name.
Great, phenomenal. I do think that
Deacon's is kind of underrated.
That's very true. Division II school Washburn in Topeka. They're the Washburn Ichabods.
Oh.
The founder of the university, his name was Ichabod Washburn. Yeah, Ichabod Craig. Ichabod Washburn was his name. So he's like, you know what I'm going to do? Just name the teams after me.
Good for him. Modesty's overrated. St. Louis Billikens.
Billikens is a strong one.
Billiken also hilarious. I always appreciate Utah. They're like the Utes.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever. The Utes. Whenever I hear it, all I think is Joe Pesci and my cousin Vinny. Yeah, 2 Utes. But yeah, Raging Cajuns.
Raging Cajuns phenomenal.
We got to cut this off. But there's a lot of them. There's a lot. You keep going.
Let us know in the comments what you like. Maybe we'll power rank college mascots. That would be insane. What do you do, actually? We'll put that in the chamber to be. That's my cue. That's gonna do it for that football show. We'll talk to you guys on Saturday. For Verderame and Tucker Franklin. Thank you to everybody listening, watching. Thank you to Holiday Distillery. We'll be back later this week. We'll see you then.